Hey guys, how you doing tonight? This is Bear with Bear's Den Acrylic Art, and we are back with another painting video. So, I decided to continue my little exploration of super high contrast cloud kiss pours or kiss cloud pours on my 20 by 20 shallow edge canvases. Since I have 4 floating frames that need to be filled. So yeah, we're just going to keep trucking. And this time, instead of various shades of, aquas and blues and purples, we are doing some high contrast of, darker teals and golds and deeper yellows. I think that will look really, really good. Especially since I was such a fan of how the last pour turned out, even with that tiniest bit of crazing that happened. I wanna keep going. So let's start layering the cups. Now, speaking of these, let me show you the consistency. All right, these are a little on the thicker side. It definitely comes off the stick very evenly, but it leaves a mound for sure, and then immediately recedes back into itself, okay? And all I did, rather than mix up a whole bunch of new paints, I just took my Dutch pour paints and I thickened them up with some mixed pour. So let's get to layering, shall we? So this first color that I just showed you, this is Yellow Oxide by Arteza. Okay, which again, it's a nice deep yellow. Followed by, this is Iridescent Bright Gold by Phtalo, which is just a very luscious, luxurious gold. Next, we do 2, and then some cloud mix. Then we are coming in with Indian Yellow by Golden. Actually, no, the Indian Yellow was first. That was the Yellow Oxide. I didn't rearrange my bottles. Followed lastly by Iridescent Gold Deep by Golden. All right, so that is the first layer. And just for good measure, like we do, just a little bit more of the cloud mix. And just like last time, the recipe for this will be in the description. So now we are just going back in and we are topping off the cup with our Indian Yellow, the Iridescent Bright Gold, our Yellow Oxide, and then our Iridescent Gold Deep. Excellent. So that is just a really nice, rich array of yellows. So now let's get to pouring the teals. So this is Teal by DecoArt Dazzling Metallics, which is a little richer than, say, like the Peacock Pearl. This is DecoArt Americana in Mermaid Tail, which is a nice kind of matte. So then some of our cloud mix. followed by, this is my own little mix of Soho Urban Artist in Turquoise, mixed in with some Artist Loft Iridescent Medium. So it just gives it this really kind of nice shimmery quality. And then lastly, one of my favorites, Phtalo Turquoise by Golden, which is nice and deep. All right, same thing, a little bit more cloud mix. And then we top off. Yeah, I was really surprised by how much I liked the blues and the purples together. Like I said, I'd been thinking about that color combination for a while, and I'm very glad that I decided to pull the trigger. And I'm also very glad that I decided to re-pour, which if you've seen the last video, you know why. All right. So, also very nice and rich. So now we are going to come in with some of our white, just to give our paints a little something to land on. And the rest we're going to use as a flow extender. And as you know, we do this so the paint doesn't have to roll over on itself. Okay. So, here we go. Cheers. And now for the kiss. Well, before we do that, let's see, where are my tweezers? Because something was on the bottom of the cup. All right, we don't need any stowaways. All right, here we go. Bombs away. So we're getting down to the end of the cup. Now, obviously, there's way more paint on here than we need. All right, just trying to find a logical, well, I guess we weren't quite done. All right. Now that center is a mess. I messed that up. So let's grab Mr. Skewer. But I really like the way that this looks. Let's grab Mr. Skewer and see if we can't make this center a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. And all I'm doing is just going in and just drawing lines. Now the thing to keep in mind is you see these clouds forming. The center probably won't be that terrible. All right, so that's just kind of doing its thing. What's really cool is, you know, of course we can see the clouds here, but there's this little band, it looks like the Soho Iridescent mix, where you can see some clouds that are wanting to come up. So there's some really great kind of transparency happening. So we torch. Because there are a million air bubbles. I know it looks excessive, but I don't take chances. You know, and so long as you keep the torch moving, you don't really have to worry about scorching the paint. Now, what I will need to try and be mindful of is the amount of paint that I leave on the canvas. Because again, I do not want any excessive, you know, cracking or crazing. All right. So, let's just drag this to the edge, and I'm actually going to put a little bit more. Yeah, so I'm already wondering, you know, if the first one was like blues and purples and this is teals and gold, I'm wondering what would be a good contrast, you know, high contrast combination to try next. So if you guys have any thoughts, I am all ears. If there is a combination that you have used in the past that, you know, maybe didn't seem so obvious at first, but you turned out to really, really like it, I would be very interested to hear about it. All right. So now, you know, it probably doesn't make a difference to torch the flow extender, but you know what? Luck favors the prepared. Plus it gives the air bubbles in the actual painting paint, a bit of a second to work their way up. All right, so We've got a lot of clouds here, and do you see how the center filled in? I love the way that that looks. There's like this perfect ring. So let's see if I can do something with this and not totally muck it up. Because I have been known I have been known to muck things up. Hence why I have 4 floating frames for shallow canvases. All right, so we're going to come towards me first, I think. And let's try and walk this back to the center. Just like that. Oh, I love this so much. Now, you know what? I have this in the center, and I'm going to leave it be. I think that looks pretty cool. Now there is more teal than yellow, but I'm not necessarily mad at that. I'm mostly happy that I was able to keep the center, you know, actually in the center. So here's what's going to happen. One, I'm just going to tilt that down ever so slightly. All right, so we deglove, and then we clean up our edges. Well, first I'm going to show some of these corners need a little bit of help. But I am going to tidy things up. And then I will meet you down here so you can see what this looks like, because I think it looks pretty darn cool if I do say so myself. So let me get this off without making a mess, and I will meet you down here in just a couple minutes. All right, my friends, here are the wet results that look really, really cool, even with the glare, sorry. All right, so this, I just put my hand in paint, so sorry. This right here, this is what I was talking about, those little clouds that want to pop up from underneath. So there's some really great transparency working. I love how the center turned out. See how it filled in. You know, that's the cool thing when you're doing Kiss cloud pours, is that the centers can be forgiving, okay? But I like, as we zoom out a little bit, how it kind of, you know, there's some motion to it. And I like all of these little tendrils of yellow. All right, I am very glad. Now you can see a little bit through here that the colors overmixed a little and made more of a green, but it's really not terribly obvious. So I love, you know, if we get at the right angle, how you can see the difference between the golds and the yellows, okay? So when this dries, and, you know, this corner up here, I don't know if you can really tell, but there's, you know, it looks really, really deep. You know, this blue teal looks like almost like a tidal pool. All right. So fingers crossed, because there's still a good bit of paint left on this, but you know, I don't think it will be any more or less a problem than it was earlier. So fingers crossed. Let's check back in a day or two and see what this looks like. All right, my friends, thank you so much for taking the time to watch and support my channel. You know it is very much appreciated. This one was a lot of fun, and I'm really hoping that it dries nicely, because it looks really beautiful. Anyway, if you are new to my channel and you like what you see, please consider hitting that subscribe and hitting that thumbs up. That helps me out a lot. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified of when I upload new content, which is usually once a week, although I'm going to strive to do better. You know, time will tell. Anyway, please feel free to leave a comment. I will do my best to get back to you as soon as humanly possible. You know, this and all of my other work is available for purchase. You can find that on my website, www.bearsdenacrylicart.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram under Bears Den Acrylic Art. If you're so inclined, you can find and follow me there. If you have any questions, you can email me directly at bear@bearsdenacrylicart.com. So again, guys, once again, thank you so much. You know it is most appreciated, and I will see you back for the next video. Bye-bye. All right, my friends, here are the dried results, and good Lord, did this ever dry perfectly. Let's start off in the center here. I mean, just look at the texture. I think it's amazing, and I love this little comma of boulder cells. And as we pull out, you know, the center, it looks, I don't know, it has so much dimension. You know, other things I like, these little boulder cells that, I don't know, didn't quite make it to the surface, or, you know, if it was just a reaction of the different paints. But I love, you know, if you catch the way the light reflects off of this, you can tell which were the golden paints and which were not. And I love that contrast of, I guess, reflectiveness. But as we go over to the yellows and the golds, I mean, you can see the same thing. So the banding, I think, is amazing. I cannot wait to put some varnish on this. This is going to just be so beautiful and dynamic, and I could not be any happier with this piece.